A very special edition of SVG On Demand. Brandon Costa from Sports Video Group. Have the pleasure now to be joined by Jon Bradford. He is Vice President and Executive Producer of Root Sports Northwest. Most notably, they've been broadcasting Seattle Mariners games in this very unique Major League Baseball season. Jon, thanks so much for taking time and for speaking to us today.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to do it.
Your network garnered a lot of praise and positive attention for a camera angle you added to your coverage of Mariners baseball this season. It's kind of a two-point aerial camera system, pulled in some gorgeous cinematic style shots that we're actually taking a look at right here. People loved it on Twitter, so I got a lot of action on Twitter about it. You're using it inside T-Mobile Park. For those that are interested, it's called the DACTYLCAM PRO, and it's by the folks from DEFY. Jon, would love for you to take us inside the creative process regarding this camera. It was one of the unique camera angles that we got to see in this very unique baseball season across the board. So where'd the idea come from, and how were you able to implement it under pretty unique circumstances?
Well, as you said at the last there, it's been a very unique year. The first 100 things we have looked at were how to get people safe, how to keep people safe. And then once we had all of that sort of ready and set, we started looking at, all right, well, there's nobody going to be in the stands. So what can we do from an innovation standpoint to sort of bring the game, present the game a little different. So we worked with the Mariners. The Mariners were huge in this to say, here's the stadium, let's go do some stuff. So probably about 5 years ago, I was at MAB and we saw the DACTYLCAM and I fell in love with it, like immediately. And so I worked with those guys and we got a demo in, and the Mariners just weren't there yet. The stadium and how it was working, it just wasn't there. So when, I've been trying every year to kind of slip it in there the last couple of years, we just let it go. And then once this sort of like, hey, let's innovate came up, I said, we got to do the DACTYLCAM. This is the year to do it. There's nobody there. We're going to run it down the third baseline. And everybody said, let's do a demo. So we called up the DEFY guys and said, let's do a demo. And they said, fantastic. So we ran about a 500-foot cable with a tie line for safety. And the first time we put it in there on the demo day, we were just like, this is going to be fantastic. So it took a little while. It took the DEFY guys haven't done baseball. We haven't done that camera. And once we started to kind of figure it out, it's been, our director made a comment that said, Jim Armentrout, this is going to be, I don't ever want to come off the camera. It shows everything all the time. So it's just been dynamic.
Yeah, it's the kind of camera angle, and this was a lot of the feedback, the kind of camera angle that baseball really benefits from, needs, frankly, to make it an even more compelling television product. And I think you guys did a fantastic job with that. You didn't, in this shortened season, you haven't gotten a ton of home games, as certainly not as many as you would normally get, 80 plus during a typical regular season. But I'm curious how, if at all, the usage of the camera evolved over the course of the season. You get over that honeymoon phase of seeing it for the first time. How did the front bench evolve and how it used the camera over the course of the 3 months of the season?
Yeah, it was a bit daunting to begin with because we just exactly what you said, the if you're looking from home plate, the left side in our ballpark is sort of a silent side. We have a low outside third, but we didn't have anything, we didn't use the high basket up there. That was for somebody else, or that was for in-house. It was a dead zone a little bit. So one, we had to get people used to, there's a camera there and it's really cool and it flies around and it goes 360. Remember it's there, because sometimes, you get, baseball's like no other sport where you're very methodical in the way that you do it. So to be able to introduce this camera and say, it's not just a stationary camera, it goes from home plate on the other first base side of home plate to all the way down the left field left field side, almost outside the stadium. That's how far the line goes. So it was daunting for them to incorporate it. It was also daunting for the operators because they're used to straight sports, flat sports, like a basketball, like a soccer, like football, like hockey. This sport is not a flat sport, right? The ball goes wherever the ball goes, and for you, and then the runner. So it's one of the only sports that when you watch the ball, you miss half of the stuff that's going on. So they had to change the way they shot. And so getting them to do it like that, and then having our directors incorporate it, it was a process. We decided early on that instead of trying to get one of our baseball operators to operate it, I wanted to stay with the people that really knew how to make that camera sing and teach them the nuances of what we wanted. Because I just felt that the camera had to be operating at its optimal. It had to be. And then we would get them in the rhythm of baseball, and that's turned out to be pretty successful so far. And they're loving it. It's something that they've wanted to do for a while, and they're loving it. So it's pretty cool.
It's one of those toys that, a producer and a director are just like so excited to play with. It's
Yeah.
really, really exciting stuff when you get the chance to do something like that.
Yeah.
You also installed another unique camera that you guys are calling the Glide Cam. DEFY calls it a rhythm track, I believe. We saw a similar deployment, and we wrote about it on Sports Video Group, where MLB Network had a camera kind of like this on a showcase game that it did on a Sunday afternoon in Anaheim for the Angels. And it's like a track on the roof of the dugout, and the camera kind of glides back and forth. You guys have your own version of that. What was the process behind that one, and how do you feel it maybe balances out with the aerial?
Yeah, it's funny because the Mariners were able to be the first one to at least do it twice, but they were in that game that MLB Network did. It also, the Glide, that I think they call it Speed Cam, that one actually sat on the Mariner dugout. The difference between this one and that one is that the profile is so much smaller. It's a third the size, height-wise, of the Speed Cam, and silent. And it has worked out really well. The DEFY guys weren't ready to roll it out quite yet. They were still working on the track, actually, when the Speed Cam showed up. So as soon as that track was ready, we talked to the Mariners again, and they're like, yeah, Scott Service was like, yeah, do it. We're great with it. And we put it on there. And I'm just like, that is really, really cool. The net is there, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's hard in baseball to simulate speed. It's hard in any sport to simulate speed. Track does it really well because of that little, I think they call it a mouse camera or a rabbit cam that, I mean, it's dynamic when you go the same speed as the runners. It's just dynamic. It's hard to simulate that in baseball. And this camera can do that. Home to first, close play at first, a little bit from first to second, but really its money shot is home to first. We're going to deploy it for our last 3 games. You touched on it earlier that, we've missed 5 home games. This was going to be the homestand that we were going to bring everything together. Mic and players, we got the DACTYLCAM running, we got the rhythm cam running, we got the Inertia has the dirt cam, we call it the diamond cam. We were just going to we're throwing the whole kitchen sink at this, and we're going to see what sticks.
Love it.
And then we lost 5 games. We lost our last 5 games to smoke here in the Seattle area. So we're going to cram it all into 3 games here at the end and see what sticks. But they're pretty cool innovations, and the Mariners have been every step of the way just been like, let's do the next one. Let's do the next one.
Yeah, so you guys are shooting the sport of baseball and presenting images that maybe this game has never seen. We've seen maybe all of these toys deployed in little bit ways here and there. Now, Fox during the American League Championship Series last year had a similar kind of aerial 2-point camera that it installed at Yankee Stadium, but I believe they only used it for maybe 1 or 2 games. So you guys are really doing stuff at scale that's never been done on this game before. So do you have any advice for another regional sports network or any another broadcaster who's maybe looking to experiment with different flavors of camera, be them aerial or other kinds like the glide cam is, that maybe has never shot the sport this way before? What have you learned that maybe you didn't know before you started doing this?
Well, I mean, there's two really big things, actually probably three. The first one is you have got to pre-plan this. You have got to have get your people together, your technicians, your producers, your directors, anybody that's going to touch it, and get a plan. You're not going to understand all of the pitfalls yet, but get that initial plan. Once you have the plan, you have got to have Major League Baseball and your team right next to you. They have to be in lockstep. And then really the last one is demo the thing before you put it on the air. It is, people, look, I'm the worst at it. It's just like, oh, it works. I see a picture. Like we haven't even looked at the video yet. Like, no, let's put it on the air. Just take a step back, make sure it works, make sure your guys are comfortable, make sure the operators are comfortable. We did that. We actually had that camera up and running for a whole series before we introduced it, because we weren't happy with the video yet. The DEFY guys weren't happy with the video yet. And they were learning. They were learning the game of baseball. So once we got a better camera on there, we got a little bit better shading on there, and the guys had 2 or 3 games to kind of go, oh, okay, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. We felt really comfortable that when we came out, we were going to come out strong. And that would be my biggest advice. But man, if you don't have your team, your baseball team, your hockey team, your football team, your basketball team, if they're not with you, it's a really tough process. So get them lockstep with you, and it's a lot easier to have them with you than sort of pushing and pulling as well.
Well, I think the rest of the industry just definitely owes a debt to you guys, because you made selling the case to your team partner, your network partner, a bit easier by showing just how cool it could look. So thank you for that. Before we let you go, Jon, you've been very generous with your time, but as we've mentioned a few times here, you guys are putting the finishing touches this week on what has been it seems undershooting it to call it an incredibly unique season, probably the most unique season of anyone's career this baseball season. One that maybe a lot of people didn't think we might even get to the conclusion of, but here we are. So how proud are you of what your team has been able to accomplish since baseball returned in late July, and anyone who you feel deserves a special call out for making this season on Root Sports Northwest possible?
I'll tell you, the people that are going down to the stadiums day in and day out, unbelievable. Our engineering team at Root Sports single-handedly kept us on the air for this whole entire time. And that is no easy feat when you can't get into the building. You know, it's not just down at T-Mobile Ballpark. We can't get into the building initially. So to be able to get the infrastructure ready, not knowing when ready was, they've done an incredible job. Brett Jungbluth, our EIC at Root Sports, our lead engineer, has been him and his group have single-handedly turned around our studio and down at the ballpark to be able to, everybody's cross-talking, everybody talks to each other. We've got graphics and bug boxes in Bellevue in our studio. We've got announcers at home. We've got announcers at T-Mobile Ballpark, whether it's home and away. We've got trucks down at T-Mobile Ballpark. They're all talking to each other. We can slide whatever we need between the two entities. If the studio has to take control, they take control. If the truck needs to take full control, they take full control. We talk so much about innovation and the DACTYLCAM and the rhythm track. All of that stuff is fantastic and just eye candy, and it's been amazing. But the real innovation has been these guys doing their job and making it look like it's just a normal baseball game. And that was what I said at the very beginning of the season. If we can make our shows look like normal baseball games, we have innovated beyond belief. We've not only done that, but we've integrated all of this other stuff, and it's been fantastic. The Mariners have been right on top of it. They've been willing and able partners. It's just been fantastic. And then the producers and directors that are doing it, it looks fantastic. You'd never know we're taking a world feed. You'd never know we were given a world feed. You'd never know we're given the world feed down here, but we're over here in the studio doing something completely different. It's magic. It's television magic to get it on, and then to put this other stuff on has just been fantastic.
All right. Well, he is Jon Bradford. He is vice president and executive producer of Root Sports Northwest up in Seattle. Jon, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and sharing your expertise and what you've learned this year. And kudos to you and everyone at the network on taking what was, certainly a challenging hand that was dealt to everyone this baseball season and really doing something special with it. Seriously, congratulations to you and everyone at the network.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. All
right. You can watch more SVG On Demand interviews now over at our YouTube channel, or you can just head on over to sportsvideo.org.